Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars.
Hello and welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you so much for being with us again this week. We appreciate your attention and enjoying the episodes that we're publishing and sharing them, and frankly, also really appreciate when you call our guests and ask for their services because that's the whole point of this series of episodes. So thank you for doing that. If you are new to I Got a Guy podcast, I encourage you to check out igotaguypodcast.com and you'll see a list of all of our past episodes. You can watch our shows on Rumble and YouTube, or you can listen to them on a wide range of audio platforms, whatever your choice is. But on our website, you'll see all the details, the show notes. You can scroll through and figure out which ones you want to listen to. Listen to them all if you like. That'd be awesome. But uh, but they're here for you to gain some knowledge of some really awesome referral partners I have, some customers and friends that I've had on the shows, and it's all about helping small businesses grow. I've been a firm believer for a long time that small businesses are really the bedrock of our economy, cornerstone of our country, and the more we can do to help small businesses grow, the better we all are across the board. So that continues to be the theme. I did start this podcast after reading a book called The Go-Giver. Bob Berg wrote a really great book, 5 stories in that book about building a network and how you give referrals in order to gain referrals. And in that book, he lists out 5 laws of stratospheric success. And every week I try to pick one that fits our guest for the week. And I want to touch on what's referred to here as the law of authenticity. And it's defined by the most valuable gift you have to give is yourself. The most valuable gift you have to give is yourself. And I think as you get to know our guest this week, you're gonna realize how authentic he is and how that might impact your life in some way. So, but let's get right into the show. Actually, let's not drag our feet any longer. So we want to introduce Brian Caldwell. He owns Auto Smart, a car dealership out in Freeport. I've known Brian for quite a while. I've known Brian's mother and father for many years, and Brian's just an awesome guy, and he really does epitomize the word authenticity. So, Brian, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thank you so much. You're giving some hard words for me to live up to today. So
You can do it. So, but thanks for joining us today, Brian. We've been wanting to get together on the podcast here for a while. I'm glad it finally worked out where we can get together and chat. And I've been out to your shop a couple times, and it's just a beautiful place. And personally, I'm into classic cars, so being in your shop is feels very comfortable for me. But why don't you tell us about AutoSmart and how you got started and some of the history and all that?
sure. As a matter of fact, this year will be November will be 31 years since I've been in the car business.
Wow.
Half of that time I've spent on the franchise side of running car dealerships, and about 15 years ago we started AutoSmart with the concept and idea of having a different way of taking care of customers during their car transactions. The true thought behind our business was being advocates for customers. We've all been through the process. We all know the time it takes to buy a car, to research a car, to shop a car, and we wanted to streamline that for our customers. We wanted to have a different experience, a different approach,
Sure.
and it's morphed in many ways. Obviously, better and better every year.
Yeah. That's great. So you were in the standard car dealerships, what you refer to as franchise. So Chevy, GM, Ford, et cetera, those kind. And now you're in your own dealership and you sell a wide range of cars, typically classics,
Yeah.
right?
Again, as we've evolved, we started out is with one car, and we turned one car into two, and two into four, and you go from there. But um, really, our first dipping our toe into classics was a very, very, very good friend, good client. We have sold cars to the parents, to the business, to the kids. So it's a generational relationship. And the parents came and said, "Hey, we've got this old Corvette and it's got all these awards. Can you sell it?" And I said, "Well, if it's got a motor and four wheels, we can sell it." And it's funny how you take those experiences and you build what you've become or what you're going to become based off of those experiences. And process is everything to us. When we're talking with our clients, when we're talking with our buyers, when people understand the process and it's transparent, they know what to expect, and it makes it just an enjoyable experience.
Right.
So over the years, we have now um, moved our location three times. We are now in what will be our final spot in Freeport. We've got an amazing building, sits right on Route 20 east of Freeport, just by the bypass around Galena. We have about 78,000 cars that drive past every single month, and so it's the building, and you've been there, so you know it really caters towards that classic car um, environment. And
Yeah.
so, yes, 95% of our inventory now is classic sport car, unique vehicles. So nothing mainstream.
Sure. Sure. Well, and you're right. That building, um, you know, being that you want to be different than the traditional car dealer, that building is different than a traditional car dealership. It's beautiful building, but it really does. It's warm and comfortable, and it's like a living room, and you just happen to have awesome cars inside.
Yes.
So it's definitely awesome, and I love the fact that you, because of your experience with the bigger car dealerships and all those years you've spent there, you've been able to map out a strategy that's like, I'm going to be different because that's better for the consumer.
It's
And
better, it's better for everybody. It's better for our team. It's better for our customers that we're selling vehicles for on consignment, and it's better for the customers that we're doing business with for the first time.
sure, sure. But so many people, when they describe a consumer transaction that they despise, they often talk about going buying a car. They hate that process. And now, personally, I don't hate that process. I'm a unique individual, but the fact that you're able to design a whole new strategy around it, so everybody is happy and it's comfortable. I mean, that's really awesome.
Well,
And
you got to remember that the type of vehicle that we're selling, this is not the vehicle that you have to go to work every day.
sure,
It's not the vehicle that you have to get your kids to school. These are the vehicles that when you went to high school, the your older brother had one, or the senior in high school had one, and you were a freshman and admired it, and you ran up and down the street with your friends and went to McDonald's on Saturday night. And so it really it's
nostalgia,
reliving people's childhoods and memories.
right? Yeah, it's amazing with all the different guys that I know that have classic cars. That's exactly what it is. It's reliving their youth, whether it's a car that, like I said, their brother had, or dad had, or their uncle had, and it's such a great throwback to that different era that is gone. We're in different times right now.
And it
So
changes, and that's the generational change in cars and the enthusiasts, the people that wanted the Model A's and the Model T's from the late 20s and 30s, and that vintage vehicle has gotten a little bit less desirable. The vehicles from the 50s now, the Tri Fives, which we just delivered one today to a gentleman that lives in Baraboo, Wisconsin, but um, that vintage is starting to become less desired because my generation, the people in their early 50s to late 50s, they now have that disposable income. The kids are either in college or out of college, and now it's time to have that toy that we let go back so many years ago, and I can't believe I sold that for $1,500.
Right. Yeah, definitely. But so you're seeing a shift where cars from the 60s and 70s now are the more popular ones because of the age range of the buyers?
Believe it or not, the late 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. So you're starting to see those cars that nobody wanted. They were worth $4,000 or $5,000. They've now doubled or tripled in value.
Sure.
So it's funny to see that evolution in what is collectible and what people have a passion for.
So as our society is transitioning to hybrid cars and electric vehicles, um, that's got to be helping these older cars retain their value, right?
Well,
Increase value.
Yes, 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 and yes. So there's a lot of things that have catapulted the classic cars even more so. The popularity of things like Barrett Jackson and Mecum Auto Auctions being
Sure.
being live on TV. That is, people will watch for 3 days
Yeah.
and talk about the Friday run versus the Sunday run. And so um, you know, the other thing is you look at during COVID, it changed so many things in our world. And in my industry, new cars sat in manufacturer parking lots because you couldn't get a computer chip.
Right.
Well, that now drove the price up on the used cars. And, unfortunately, all these cars that have 30, 40, 300, whatever it is, computer chips to run them, people are now going back to the old cars. And I say old, but I'm driving a 27-year-old Chevrolet Suburban, and I'll drive that to California tomorrow. That's that vintage era when I'm realizing how well those vehicles were built, and those vehicles, again, we're starting to see those that were eight, nine, $10,000, and now they're 18, 19, 20, $25,000.
Really?
Well, the new ones, go buy a new Suburban today, and you're going to spend 80 to $100,000.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They
So when
really
you look at
expensive.
that cost differential, some people are looking at the old quality that's still out there if you can find them that are in good, pristine,
Sure.
non-corroded condition. So yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution forward and then almost jumping backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So in your shop, you mentioned that you buy cars on consignment. So somebody that owns a classic car that maybe wants to get out of the hobby, they would come to you and say, "Hey, Brian, would you sell my car?" And you would market it for them for a fee. Do you do repairs on these cars as well and like detail them, or do you just put them up for sale?
So we don't do any of the mechanical work. We have partners in the industry that have, whether it's an interior, whether it's electrical, whether it's motor, we have those partners that we can, if the car needs it, we can refer our clients to. When it comes to the detailing, we don't do the most of these cars really don't need to be detailed. They need to be cleaned up because they've been preciously taken care of.
Sure.
Your classic car, you don't go out and drive it in the middle of the snowstorm. So, it's
Right.
not like somebody's daily driver where you've got all the weekly wear of kids and family and everything else in it. So, us just cleaning them up and getting them ready for photography. But we do have sometimes they come in and they need to go out and have it professionally detailed. We've partnered with a shop now that is using all of our Jaxwax products, which is one of our other businesses within AutoSmart. So it's nice to know that the cars coming back meet the quality that we once used to do, and they're using the products that we support and sell.
Sure. Sure. Well, let's touch on Jack's Wax for a minute. So you represent Jack's Wax to a wide range of cleaning products, right? Cleaning and polishing products.
Yeah, so real quick, just jump back real quick. The consignment part versus purchasing
Okay.
is a dealer. We have the opportunity to do both. We can buy a car directly from a customer, or we can through the state of Illinois. There's a consignment process. Either way, we sit down with the customer, we show them what the market value is on the vehicle. There are some customers that somebody passed away and they really don't want to wait for the consignment process to go through. They just want to take a check and let the car go to the next owner. We're able to do that. The consignment is far more beneficial to our clients we're buying and selling to. So it's a great process either way. The Jax Wax part of it, it really is that it's one of the ways that you and I met face to face and hand to hand was at a car show.
Yeah,
And so Jax Wax is a product that is made in the USA. It's a product that I use. Everything that I sell in our lineup in our showroom, I personally use. And so I can teach you whether you have a very low experience level in detailing or a very, very high level many years. I could teach you tips and tricks on the product we use. And so we have a dealership name is Chicago Jax Wax because we're serving the Chicagoland area. So great USA made product served and sold locally here in the area.
good. So you sell, obviously you sell a lot of your cars via the internet, website, because
Mhm.
you're not selling just in the Freeport area. You're selling people all over the country.
As a matter of fact, people ask, well, how's traffic in the Freeport area? I said, traffic's phenomenal because we get a lot of people coming from Chicago going to either Galena or Dubuque. So our drive-by traffic is amazing. And the Northwest Illinois, Southern Wisconsin corridor has these gems of cars that are all over tucked in buildings and barns. And
Sure.
so from a acquisition standpoint, it's phenomenal. This has been an amazing move. It's going to do far into the future exceed anything that we've ever had. But our sales is not regional to the area, although we do sell cars to customers here locally. But some of the last major cars we sold, we had a Z06 that went to Rochester, Michigan. We're shipping I know it sounds crazy to be a classic, but a 1990 Lincoln Town Car with 41,000 miles is going to Odessa, Texas next week. We just shipped a vehicle to Dallas, Texas. We had a client come down from Minneapolis, St. Paul area to buy a 25-year-old Cadillac Escalade. So yeah, the majority of our cars are going exterior from the area rather than staying here local in the local market.
Yeah. Now, do you deliver those vehicles yourself, or do you contract that out with a trucking company?
So it really depends. We are not a transport company. I like to stay in our lane, and know what we
Sure.
do, and do what we do well, right?
Mm,
For local clients, for something that's within a 2 hour drive, we absolutely have the ability to do so. And I'll share a story. There was a gentleman and his daughter came up 2 weeks ago, and his wife had passed away, and they had previously had a 71 GTO, and well, we just happened to have a 71 GTO, and he really wanted to have this and take the opportunity to relive some memories while he can with his daughter. And so they came up from down by Bloomington, and they bought the car, drove it, bought it, and 4 days later we shipped it down on our open transport trailer, and it was that great personal experience because they're farmers, and so we were able to take it to the farm and unload it and take pictures on the family property. And
nice.
so it was as a much of an experience for us as it was for them.
Yeah.
Now, our longer distance, the Lincoln Town Car that's going out next week, we've got professional drivers that's what they do, and we have a great network. So whether our client wants to handle it themselves or they want to use our network that we have, either way, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's a great way to get the message out and get these classics in anybody's hands throughout the country. And glad you're able to facilitate that.
Well, we've actually throughout the country, and we've got cars in French Riviera and up in Canada, and so
Oh, really?
the one that we didn't get was New Zealand, and that was kind of interesting. They have some very strict import requirements. But yeah, we've had the ability and the experience working locally, nationally, and in small parts internationally.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm on some GTO Facebook pages, and there's always people posting their vehicles in Great Britain or in Italy or what have you. And it's interesting to think about these narrow streets in Europe with a full size classic car. It's like, boy, how's that fit, first of all? But it's also got to be super expensive to transport a vehicle overseas, right?
It's so very cumbersome. There's a lot of paperwork that goes along with it, and you have to. That's where process is absolutely paramount because
Sure.
if you don't have the right processes in place, things can go astray. And a lot of times, our clients, the one we shipped a ZR1 Corvette, I think it was a 91 ZR1 Corvette over to France, and there was a broker that was handling it. So they handled all the paperwork, getting it down to the port for export, and so
So you get the right experts involved, though. They know what they're doing, and
just like any business, you want to make sure you have your team in place, and that's kind of, it's funny you say I got a guy because that's always been my family's thing. Is they've always said, Brian, you got a guy for everybody, and so whether it's a transport company, a mechanic, in my world, my parents taught me a long time ago from their business. They may not have done every aspect, but for their customer, they got it done. Their
right.
customer just they had a guy for everything, and so that's always kind of been my approach to business. And so it's funny your podcast is it shares that along.
Yeah, no doubt. And frankly, that's how I run my precisely tracking business. Very same way, trying to be different because right now, lately, everyone's trying to shortcut the process and make it easier for them, even if it's not easier for their customer. And changing that paradigm and saying, hey, if I were in the customer's shoes, I'd want to handle this way, and that's how you deliver, and that's how you run your business. It makes a difference, and people recognize that, and that's how you build a long-standing business. You don't have to be the biggest or the fastest growing, but do it well and be proud of what you're doing, and at night you can put your head down and rest comfortably.
Yeah, we had a transaction that happened today, which kind of reminds me of exactly what you're talking about. There was a gentleman, 87 years old, and his son-in-law, and the gentleman lost his wife here recently, and the son-in-law said, "Come on, let's go take a ride. We always drive past the new classic car store." And they just came out and they just walking around, and I don't take that approach where when somebody comes and they start walking around where you got to jump out and be right on them. And so I just introduced myself, said thank you for stopping by. If there's something I can do, let me know. And we started talking, and they said, well, what's inside? I said, well, come on inside. And they both walked in the front door, and on our four-post lift, we had a 55 Chevy Bel Air, and they both just looked up at it and they couldn't stop staring at it. That was 2 days ago. Today they took delivery of that 55 Bel Air. And
Wow,
so,
nice.
not trying to sell people, just showing them who you are, what you do, where you do
Right.
it. And guess what? It comes together.
It does. Yeah, it all falls in line. And I've over the years I've read several sales books about, always be closing and be pushing and all that and be aggressive. And frankly, and it may have worked in the 50s or 60s. It doesn't work today. And there's just a better way to do it. So,
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. My first half of my career in franchise dealers, I was taught as a salesman that, the minute the customer hits the lot, you better be at their door opening it for them. And I agree. I want people to feel like they're part of our family because we are
right,
family. And so you've seen our kitchen/conference room. We don't have a finance department where you come and sit and do paperwork. We sit at the kitchen table just like you break bread with your family. That's what we
right,
do with our clients. We want them comfortable and in a relaxed environment.
right. It pays huge dividends, not only for that transaction, but for the referrals that come from that transaction. Because they're going to talk about it and they're going to talk about that experience, how different it was, and that beats all the marketing efforts you can do on Facebook or anywhere else. When you get a happy client that's satisfied and felt like they were treated right. So that's a smart way to go. Um, Brian, we're going to take a quick break here for a second. And before we do that, I want to grab and get your contact information. If somebody's listening and say, "Hey, I have a car to sell, or I want to," just check out your showroom. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you to
So
schedule something?
obviously the best way is go to autosmartnetwork.com. That is our corporate website. You can from there see who we are, what we do. You can link right to our inventory. Um, you're more than welcome to call the office and ask for me personally, or stop on out in Freeport, Illinois on Route 20.
Okay. What's your phone number? Let's provide that for them.
630-554-2285.
Okay. All right, great. I will put that information in our show notes on the screen for our viewers, and as I mention all the time, if you are calling Brian, make sure you tell him that you heard about him here on I Got a Guy podcast. He'd be thrilled to call me and tell me, "Hey, I got a new client from your show." So I hope that works out. But let's take a quick break, hear from our sponsor, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about a few other successes that you're having and get into more details on that. So let's be right back in about a minute.
Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. If your business uses heavy equipment as part of its daily routine, sadly, I don't need to educate you on the reality that this equipment has been the focus of many local thieves either. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles and heavy equipment. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Recovering a stolen asset is just one way we contribute to the bottom line of the business. Our GPS tracking units used in heavy equipment are weather tight so they can handle the elements and even have an internal battery to continue to report its location should the battery in the asset be disconnected. We have several examples of the benefits of GPS tracking in heavy equipment. Reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions for a detailed discussion about our options and to see if it makes sense for your business. You can find Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. GPS tracking made simple. Now, back to the show.
Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. I am Michael Drelichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. And this week we are chatting with Brian Caldwell from AutoSmart, a car dealer out in Freeport, Illinois, focusing on classic cars. And that is, by definition, anything 25 years old or older, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So we've had a great conversation this far about your history and how you treat people differently, and just a different experience altogether. And you also touched on your Jack's Wax dealership as well. I know I use some of your products, and one of my buddies also uses your products. They're really awesome. That ceramic cleaner that is just so easy to use, and the results are remarkable.
Yeah. The idea behind products, there's a lot of products out there. And I tell people the product in the detailing part is really the least most important because it's process, towels, and then product. Because you can have the best product in the world, but if you've got a bad process or bad towels, the product's not going to make a difference. So,
Well, let's explain bad towels. I don't. Yeah, I want to make sure we're clear on that.
sure.
What makes a
So
towel?
everybody thinks a microfiber is a microfiber, and not all
Right.
microfibers are made the same. So we all know the ones that we buy for 19.95, and there's 30 of them in a pack, and you pull them out, and there's two things that are just definitely different between the products and the towels that we sell. First off, they have that nylon around the edges of them. Well, it's basically fishing line. So you're taking your brand new polished beautiful car and you're taking a towel with fishing line and you're micro scratching it. And so all of our towels are laser cut, so there is no stitching to scratch that beautiful painted surface. And
So
then,
there's no fraying. There's no fraying when you wash those.
no, I've had towels for over 2 years. As long as you maintain them right and wash them the right way, they'll last forever. But the other thing is, if you remember that 30 pack that we buy, the first thing we do is we tear that tag off, right? And that tag leaves these little fingers, and as you go across your paint, that micro scratches it. So towels are an important part of it, and that's one of the things that when we're at car shows or people come into the dealership into our Chicago Jacks Wax store, is we're always talking about towels and process.
So you sell towels that way?
Oh my gosh, it because everybody thinks, oh no, I got plenty of towels. Until you put an 1100 count microfiber in their hand, they go, I've never felt anything this soft.
Right.
So
It is really remarkable, um, the difference in the softness. And I guess I never thought about it till you and I spoke about it. I didn't think there was that much difference between them. And I thought, well, any old towel will be fine.
sure. I
Uh,
remember back in the day we would use the old bath towels or old white cotton t-shirts, and
right.
so yeah, that's the way we were taught to clean cars. Well, now that the cars have gotten older and more expensive, we want to elevate our towels and show the appreciation of the and the love to the car.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, back in the day, I used to use a chamois.
Uh-huh.
Is that still part of the vernacular nowadays, or is that old
No.
school?
No. So there's three things that we will use depending on the car and the surface. A very flexible water blade,
Yeah,
uh,
I've
double
seen that.
twist, double twisted loop microfibers, and then believe it or not, compressed air with one of the tube. It's got a little trumpet on it that it blows the air off. So you're not dragging anything across your surface. It gets in the little cracks and the grooves and where the stainless steel is or around the light bezels. So really gets that water out of there. And then depending on what you have on the car. So your car, we introduced you to our SiO2. And so once you put that on there, it's created a better surface so that the water beads and runs off a lot better than an untreated surface.
Sure, sure. Now with this blower, the spray, the blower you talked about with the little trumpet,
Yeah.
if you're hooked up to a compressor, isn't there oil in the line? And aren't you concerned about getting oil on the vehicle?
So we always, in our shop, we always have something that is uh, dedicated strictly for that purpose. It's not a
Okay.
multi-purpose for like the mechanic shop. And so, yeah,
Okay.
there are things you can do to put filters on and keep the tank drained. And but at the end of the day, you're always going to have some contaminants. You can't work in a laboratory environment when
Yeah.
you're cleaning a 70-year-old car. But to your point, you always want to use good equipment, newer equipment. Um, do whatever you can from the time you use the water to the towels to how you're drying it is important. How that finish will look when you're going to the car show.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's great when you go to the car show and you always see a couple guys out there with their spritz bottle and they're polishing their car and like I said that SaO2 stuff that I purchased from you that got ceramic in it, I think
Yes.
the finish is so smooth. I mean, I it's amazing how smooth it is.
Well, you had a great finish to start with. We
Sure.
just put something on the top of it just to make it that much better.
Yeah, but it's cleaning the car takes I can do the whole thing front to back in 10 minutes. And you're not dragging the bucket out with the soap and washing off the wax. I think it's just a far superior experience. And it just looks great. So
It's one of the things I like about our dealership and the relationship we have with the factory being Jack's Wax. Um, 1993 when they started making wax, they didn't have this lineup. And so when we're at shows and we're talking to guys like you, what do you want? What do you need? What's the next evolution in car care? And they're always reinventing that next step. And sometimes it seems too fast, even for us as the dealers to keep up with it. But
sure.
yeah, every time that you say, hey, what about this? And we bring that information back to the factory, and if they can produce it, they're producing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And I haven't yet used the tire shine, but I am been working on a couple other things with my car. But I'm anxious to see how that tire shine works as well.
Ah, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Nice shiny wheels, tires really make a difference. It sets the vehicle apart.
And if it's got white walls, they got to be white.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, mine are red line, so I still want them red. But
Yes.
it's just it just sets the vehicle off. It stands out when the tires are nice and shiny and clean, and the trim rings are nice and polished up. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
So I'm glad you have that experience because you are always educating us on what to do and how to do it and if something changes. So I appreciate that. We can all go on the internet and get opinions, but it's not always good information. You
sure.
know, everybody's got an opinion, and I'd rather go to the expert. And you're fully trained on all those products. And last thing I want to do is damage the car finish.
And I'll tell you, the greatest thing that I've learned is I don't know it all, but I'm learning something new every day because I
Sure.
learned through our network of dealers, the Jack's Wax dealers. We're all working on different. We've got a young man down in southern Indiana that he's into trucks. And so he goes to the truck shows. And so we're learning different things as far as, products and tips and tricks. And our master distributor in his late 60s is still detailing cars and ceramic coating cars himself. So he's always teaching us those next the next thing that we can teach our customers. So it is all about sharing.
Yeah. So do you work with any local car washes or detail shops?
So we have, being that we're only a couple months here in the new location, we are reaching out to people. One of our team members, her job is right now to reach out to municipalities, to reach out to detail shops, to reach out to car dealerships that have car washes. And so, yeah, we're always looking to share this knowledge with our clients. And the funny thing was, this morning, I was up at 6:30, and by 8 o'clock, I was standing on the front end of a combine teaching three generations of farmers how to ceramic coat the glass on the front of the combine before they go into the field for harvest time.
Right.
So, I mean, that was how my day started today, standing on a $1 million piece of equipment
Sure.
and teaching three generations of farmers. And they're like, you sure this is gonna work? And I'm like, it's gonna work.
Yeah,
So,
that's great. I mean, you think about like whether it be the fire trucks or even these towing operations. These tow trucks are $1 million pieces of equipment.
yep.
So if you're investing, those businesses are investing that much money. They want to. First of all, it's a showcase for their business. The days of the old jalopy with the flopping fenders and the stickers that were peeled off and put on. I think that era is kind of passes by for the most part. These guys are proud of their vehicles, and they got their logo plastered across the side of it. So taking good care of it is really important. It's a
So
showcase.
we have a lot of municipalities that we work with. We work with small townships. We work with large fire districts. And what I've always encouraged them to do, whether they're using my product or not, obviously I want them to use our product, but they they're using their taxpayer dollars. So let's protect it and extend that use.
Of
And now
course.
it's a benefit. And so when you explain it to the municipalities that way, they're all about doing what they can to extend the service life of these vehicles to give the best return on that investment from the taxpayers.
Right. If they can preserve that vehicle mechanically and aesthetically for an extra 2 or 3 years, that saves a lot of tax dollars.
Absolutely.
These vehicles are not inexpensive. Even a basic cargo van are expensive. But you start getting into these bigger trucks, and it's huge money.
When you're almost $300,000 for a plow truck or 2.1 million for a ladder truck from your fire department, yes, it's everything you can do to preserve the life and extend the life on them. And we help from the process side, and we also help from the product side.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, cool. So, any other stories you want to share with us before we wrap up our show this week?
Yeah, you and I have always talked about what not just for us, but what sets your business aside, what makes you different than your competitors.
Mhm.
And um, for us, it's always been our civic marketing. And I didn't coin that phrase, but man, I do love it because is small businesses, we are the glue, we are the pillars in the community that really are that driving factor. And without small businesses, it changes the landscape of the community. So we need to give back to our community as much as we take as business owners. And so the thing that I'm proud of the most is even when I was in the franchise world and have transitioned into ownership of our businesses today, that hasn't changed. And whether it's a blood drive or back to school collections, we currently September 1st. So here's a little plug. We've got a very close friend of ours. Their daughter has stage 3 breast cancer, so we're going to be raffling off a 1984 Mustang GT 350 convertible, and the net proceeds will go to her family and helping with medical expenses and transportation and stuff during her cancer treatment. So, um, whether you're a small business or a large corporation, there are so many ways that you can give back to your community. And when you do that, if you do it with no expectation in return, I have seen it over and over again. And whether it's the divine intervention, the community involvement, whatever your belief is, it comes back so hard and so fast to your business. And when you see that you've touched somebody and you've made their life better, and it didn't have to do with selling one of your products,
Right.
it is so powerful.
Right.
So I guess that's part of our mission statement, our values is community involvement. And I think that's the unique thing. That's the one thing that we're involved in. It brings our team together, it brings our family together, brings our community together. And when you have a strong team, family, and community, there's nothing we can't do.
That you're exactly right. Yeah, that's tremendous, and I applaud you for doing that because you know so many business owners can get so bogged down in the day-to-day operations of their business, and they lose sight of the fact that they're part of a community, and that
Mhm.
community is part of them. And so by keeping a focus on that, um, you're stronger all the way around.
Uh, everybody wins in that scenario. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you do attend a number of car shows. I know you were at the Pontiac show in Crystal Lake. You do other shows as well throughout the summer. If somebody wanted to see you at some one of these shows,
yeah, so we're actually hitting the end of car show season. There's a few that are still coming up. 2026 is going to be an exciting year for us because we're looking at some of the bigger shows. We're looking at stretching out, taking on more shows. We're in discussions right now to be a vendor down for the Pontiac show down in Pigeon Forge. We're in Milwaukee for the World of Wheels Milwaukee. So yeah, we're definitely stretching our wings outside of our small community, and we love that sponsorship. We love that interaction and helping car clubs keep their clubs charged with dollars and through our sponsorship and yeah, so we get to meet people and talk about wax, but I can tell you over and over and over again, I've sold a $15 bottle of wax to somebody that turned into a consignment of a $50,000 Chevelle. So it's they work very well together, and
yeah, hand in hand here.
yeah.
That's awesome. And that's a great connection between those two businesses. I mean, interrelated, and one helps the other, and it's awesome. It's good pairing.
Yep, thank you.
Well, cool. So, well, I wanted to just kind of wrap this up here. I want to thank you for being willing to participate in the podcast and allowing me to ask you a few questions about your business and hopefully get the word out to others that may not have heard of it. And I may share this podcast link with. I'm in a text group with a bunch of guys that we go to the Mount Prospect car show every week. And I'm going to share this podcast with them because they'll be interested. They all got different cars. It's a wide mix of vehicles, but all very passionate about their vehicles and their experiences, and would love to have them connect with you on that.
And there's a story behind every one of those cars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a story, and it's fun. It's a fun camaraderie with like-minded individuals that we wouldn't normally have connected any other way.
No, no,
You,
it's
you
that's the
park your
amazing
car.
thing about the car world.
Yeah, you park a car next to a couple guys, 2, 3 weeks in a row, and then you start chatting, and before you know it, you're exchanging cell phone numbers, and now you're in a text string, and you're going to this show and that show, and they're asking about this one and that one. It's kind of an interesting community that if you're not in the classic cars, you may not even realize that it's there, but it's remarkable.
And I encourage, here's the biggest thing that I will encourage people is don't let that history leave with you. Share that with your kids, share that with your grandkids. Make the next generation want to keep these cars um, in play and running and keep the knowledge and the history alive.
Yeah, that's very true. I do bring my older daughter with me. She enjoys cars, and she comes with me to the car shows regularly and enjoys it. My wife and my younger daughter aren't so much into it, but maybe someday they'll get into it. But you're right.
Absolutely.
Well, but we need to preserve that because it's a changing environment,
Hmm.
and it'll be interesting to see if 30 years from now the car shows are full of Toyota Priuses and Teslas.
I hope we still have our Mustangs and Chevelles and GTOs.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. They would be very classic at that point.
Yes, yes, yes.
So cool. So let me just throw a quick little a comment in here about GPS tracking, which is really my day job. I love doing this podcast and helping businesses out, but we sell GPS tracking and we do some with classic car owners. Um, you know, Protecting these and knowing where these vehicles are, it's important to put a tracking unit. I have a wireless tracking unit in my GTO. So when I put it in storage, I know where it's at all the time. And if they move it, I know it was moved. And it's just a good way to have an extra level of comfort around, where is my car? These things are valuable assets, and we just you know we don't can't let them get away from out of our sights. And if we do park them somewhere, we want to be able to know where they're at. So if you have a classic car and you are ever concerned about protecting it and knowing where it's at, we'd love to have a conversation with you here at Precise Fleet Tracking. We can help you with a couple different devices to make that uh, better for you. So anyway, again, Brian, thank you so much for joining us this week. Why don't you share your email address or your website address and phone number for us again, and then we'll wrap the show up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. This is great to be able to get out and share our story and invite people to come on out and become part of our family. So whether you want to go on our website at autosmartnetwork.com, if you want to email me at brian@autosmartnetwork.com, or give us a call 630-554-2285, or just come on out to Freeport and say hello.
That's awesome. Well, great. We will do that. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for participating, listening. Share this podcast with your friends, your neighbors, somebody that might be a car enthusiast that maybe doesn't listen to podcasts. Help them out with that. But let's get the word out, and we will talk with you all very soon. So I hope you have a great week. Take care.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.